I'm going to flip my usual process upside down a bit and jump to some of my concluding thoughts on Legend of Hero Tonma. And that's because, while I was playing it, the thing that really struck me about the game was this odd tension in its difficulty. It is, in moments, incredibly difficult. Kind of unfair, even. But the way the game is structured also makes it, overall, kind of easy. Well, as it turns out, it was kind of intentional on Irem's part. Legend of Hero Tonma was originally an arcade game, and since Irem had received a lot of complaints about the extreme difficulty of their games, they decided to make one that was easier. But it still had to work as an arcade game, and that means cycling people off the machine quickly, so there's difficult aspects to it. One of the things that Irem did to make the game easier, and this is per Irem, not me, Legend of Hero Tonma had an all-woman development staff. So Tonma was intended to get the attention of women. From what I've seen, I don't believe they were successful in that regard. The plot of Tonma is that Tonma is a brave hero of a fantasy kingdom, a princess gets kidnapped, and he grabs his magical tools and heads off to save her. You might think I'm skimming over something, but no, it is that abrupt in the manual. What you have in Legend of Hero Tonma is 6 stages of platforming action. Tonma always has a ranged attack that you fire by pressing button 2, and he can jump really high when you press button 1. Seriously, that jump is way higher than you'd expect. The big challenge here is that Tonma dies if he touches anything. Well, unless you jump on somebody's head. In that case, the monster gets stunned for a second and you bounce off of them. But that's a technique that's only really useful in a handful of places. What you're going to run into when playing is monsters will spawn on top of you, or you'll jump and they'll come from off screen, or a bullet will come from someplace you didn't expect. You'll just get killed out of nowhere. But that said, the stages in Legend of Hero Tonma are super short. Even if you're not rushing to the end, most of them can be completed in a minute. Win or lose, Legend of Hero Tonma is a game that goes fast. You'll find power-ups sitting out in the open. Treasure chests only contain bonus points, or very, very rarely, an extra life. The Ps power up Tonma's main weapon. You start out with a puny little beam, and getting 1 P will upgrade it to a much larger beam, and then getting 1 more will turn it into a wave shot. I found that wave shot to be kind of annoying because while it does do more damage and lets you hit enemies from spots where they can't get you, you can also arc around monsters. There's also 2 secondary weapons that you can collect. You launch these at the same time as you fire your regular weapon. The blue weapon gets thrown in an arc and makes a big explosion when it hits something. That explosion lasts for a short while and can do multiple hits. The red weapon are fireballs that will home in on enemies. For both of these, you can upgrade them once so that they'll get extra shots. Finally, the B item will give you a barrier, a bunch of orbs that will circle around Tonma. When one of these orbs gets hit, then it will vanish. So you'll get a bigger and bigger gap in your shield as you go. Now that's not too bad when it comes to stopping bullets, and so if they come into contact with something solid, then they all evaporate in an instant as they spin into an immovable object. I'd never complain about having the barrier, but it's not going to save you. There's one more item, a bomb that will convert all of the enemies on the screen into coins, but coins are just points, and the points don't do anything. You don't even earn extra lives with them. Not that lives matter a whole lot here, since you have infinite continues, and the stages are short enough that the checkpoints don't matter. The only other thing to mention about Legend of Hero Tonma is the very strange text intermissions after you clear a stage. Yeah, I'm not really sure what they were going for there myself. Like I mentioned at the start, Legend of Hero Tonma isn't fondly remembered by Japanese players. I think people had more to say about the arcade version and its extremely difficult time limits, which are not present in the PC Engine version, and the awkwardness of the hero's name, which apparently derives from the word mudden, but inverting the syllables. My own final conclusion on Legend of Hero Tonma is, it's fine. Sorry, I don't have anything more dramatic than that, but it's a perfectly competent action platformer that doesn't have anything that makes it stand out. I mean, when you're going through a systems library, a lot of the games wind up in the, it's fine category. Legend of Hero Tonma is competently made, looks decent, controls as reasonably as you'd expect, and then doesn't really do anything more. The levels wind up being kind of bland. The bosses are generic and fall into two categories: trivially easy, and will kill you because you don't know what's happening. Legend of Hero Tonma is the kind of game that you'd play, and then completely forget that it exists 2 days later.